Anytime the Patriots pick up a player who last suited up for your team, the natural inclination is to perk up a little bit. Common reactions to such news include, "Oh, no. England wants him," followed by "Should insert your franchise here have kept him instead?" Well, on Thursday, Redskins fans became the next ones to think those thoughts after the Pats scooped up receiver Maurice Harris. The Skins didn't tender Harris, so he was free to sign anywhere. Choosing to link up with Tom Brady seems like a fairly intelligent career move. Now, before this situation becomes the sequel to the Simmie Cobbs saga, remember that Harris had tons of chances to seize a permanent spot in Washington's receiving corps and, for whatever reason, never emerged as a consistent weekly threat. Harris was acquired as an undrafted free agent in 2016 and hauled in 8 passes as a rookie. Then, in 2017, he made that absolutely mind-blowing catch against the Vikings in the team's 9th contests, then had just 3 more grabs the rest of the way. This past year, meanwhile, he was a star at training camp, solidifying a spot on the 53-man roster heading into Week 1. It looked like that breakout was imminent. However, aside from a 2-game stretch where he totaled 15 receptions, he couldn't make a real difference in what was a weak WR group. Sure, you can be worried that Harris is all of the sudden destined for stardom with the Patriots. He's a big target and versatile, too, and it's not hard to imagine him figuring things out with the best franchise in the sport. But if he does, you can't hold too much vitriol toward the Redskins. They were the ones who initially found him coming out of school and gave him 3 campaigns to blossom. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be in D.C. More Redskins news. Ashburn, Redskins Vice President of Player Personnel Doug Williams said a great many things Thursday after safety Landon Collins' introductory press conference. 2 items involving linebacker and organizational thinking with perhaps what's next stood out. Ready for Ryan. The Redskins added a couple of key pieces in recent days, but also lost a few players in free agency including outside linebacker Preston Smith. The 2015 second-round pick agreed to a free agent contract with the Packers this week. Smith's departure leaves Washington with uncertainty at the spot opposite Ryan Kerrigan. That is unless Ryan Anderson takes over. Anderson, a second-round selection in 2017, played in 27 games over his first 2 seasons. There were moments of intrigue from the burly linebacker. Not so much with his statistics: 32 tackles, 2 sacks, 0 starts. Based on the draft investment, it would seem logical the Redskins give Anderson a chance at the starting spot. The production over the first 2 seasons suggests the front office may target help. Washington could dip into a strong class of edge rushers in the 2019 draft if it passes on any veteran free agents, or aren't sure Anderson is ready for the responsibility. That was exactly the question posed to Williams Thursday. "That's a good question for Ryan. A damn good question for Ryan," Williams said. "I think Ryan's mentality, Ryan thought he was from day one when he got here. That's his mentality. His rookie year he was pissed that he wasn't playing last year. He understands how it works. He didn't walk into Alabama and start. It's Ryan's time. I'm sure Ryan is ready to play. A primary focus for the Redskins in my 2-round mock drafts involves an edge rusher. That won't change after Williams' comments. Anderson's potential remains, but so do the questions. Bye-bye, Brown. While Smith, Jamison Crowder, Ty Nsika and others departed via free agency, linebacker Zach Brown and defensive lineman Stacey McGee were released Wednesday before the official start of free agency. Brown, who turns 30 in October, signed as a free agent in 2017. Releasing Brown, a starting inside linebacker the last 2 seasons, saved Washington $5.75 million toward the 2019 salary cap. The ex-Bill was leading the league in tackles before a late-season injury slowed him down in 2017. Washington resigned Brown to a 3-year free agent contract last March. He dealt with an oblique injury much of last season. Mickey, who signed a 5-year, $25 million contract in 2017, missed a chunk of 2018 with an abdominal injury. He was also buried on the depth chart behind Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle. His release saved another $4.675 million. On the surface, the justification for both moves seems obvious. The Redskins rank 22nd in available salary cap space, $16.7 million, even after the recent activity, according to the website Over the Cap, with several roster holes remaining. Williams pushed back on such finances, first thinking, "That was not a salary cap move. That was a business decision, a team decision." Williams stated. He continued, "You got to look at this from our team, and if you notice, players got cut all over the league yesterday. Number one, you give a guy a chance this early to catch on somewhere else. Because no. When you look at your football team, where do they fit on your football team? Do they fit your football team? You can't just carry a guy just because he was on your team. Somewhere along the line, you've got to make some tough choices. Let's discuss that decision with Brown." Williams spoke truth when he said this wasn't a salary cap decision. Coach Jay Gruden benched Brown late last season amid overall defensive struggles, even when the linebacker returned from an illness that cost Brown some practice time. "You see the writing on the wall," Brown said at the time. The combination of inconsistencies in the run and pass game and, according to sources throughout Brown's time in Washington, communication issues with the coaching staff and teammates fueled the decision. Claiming Reuben Foster off waivers in December provided a potential replacement option. The Redskins have additional tough choices on deck. "We haven't discussed the salary cap thing. All we discussed right now with football players," Williams said of his conversations with team president Bruce Allen and salary cap guru Eric Scheffer. "Free agency is still open. There are going to be some guys that are going to cut. There are some guys that haven't been approached yet. Still talking to some guys. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens in the next 3 days. More Redskins news. The Redskins needed to add a starting caliber safety. They signed maybe the best young safety on the free agent market in Landon Collins. The Redskins needed to add a veteran quarterback. They traded for Case Keenum. 2 years removed from an NFC Championship game appearance, Collins looks like a home run signing for Washington. The Skins had to add a safety and did so without burying their salary cap for 2019. The contract has outs after 2 and 3 years as well, and Collins has shown he can be an elite player. His All-Pro 2016 season, at just 22 years old, is proof. The trade for Keenum is a double, but the tag at second was pretty close. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a capable starter. More importantly, bringing in Keenum, along with veteran Colt McCoy, should mean the Redskins don't end up in the sort of desperate state that led to Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson getting starts late in the 2018 season. Both deals addressed needs for the Redskins, which is good. The bad news is plenty of needs still exist. The Redskins lost outside linebacker Preston Smith and wide receiver Jamison Crowder in free agency, and both players started for the last few seasons in D.C. Replacing them won't come cheap, but they have to be replaced. There's some thought third-year pro Ryan Anderson is poised for a breakout season. Asked about expectations for Anderson, VP of Player Personnel Doug Williams said, "That's up to Ryan." A few years ago, a similarly strong but unproven third-year pass rusher had a breakout season in Washington. His name was Trent Murphy, and after 6 combined sacks in 2014 and 2015, he popped for 9 sacks in 2016. Anderson has just 2 sacks through 2 seasons, but with Smith gone, this would be a great time for the former Alabama star to break out. The 2019 NFL Draft also has a lot of edge rushing potential, both in the first round and in the later rounds. Expect the Redskins to add at least 1 outside linebacker in the draft, maybe more, and that could be as early as the 15th pick. Receiver might be different. The Redskins likely need help in free agency and the draft. Beyond Crowder, Washington also lost Maurice Harris, who signed a deal with the New England Patriots. Michael Floyd seems unlikely to be back either. Josh Doctson, Paul Richardson, Trey Quinn, J.U. Chesson and Cam Sims are the only returning wideouts that played in 2019, and frankly, that group is underwhelming. Asked if the Redskins needed to address receiver now, Gruden replied with his usual humor, "Maybe." The coach continued, "We'll have to wait and see who's out there and go from there. We like to add one more here, but there's a lot of good receivers in the draft." During the NFL scouting combine last month, Gruden and Williams talked about the need for a big receiver being added to the group. Sources have told NBC Sports Washington that the team will also consider trades leading up to the draft as a means to add a wideout. No matter what happens, Washington needs to bring in more pass catchers. The team could use both an experienced veteran and a dynamic rookie. Gruden was telling the truth about the pass-catching group in this year's draft. There are many intriguing options brimming with potential. Potential isn't enough for the Washington receiving group in 2019. They also need performance. Left guard remains a big need, but less so than edge rusher and receiver. Expect the Redskins to address all three in some capacity, and quite possibly, in that order. With Golden Tate signed by the Giants, there isn't much in the way of name recognition among the remaining WR free agents. Edge rusher is different, with guys like Justin Houston available, but the price tag for sack guys is inherently larger than catch guys. The second wave of free agency offers opportunity for teams to find value. But the rules of life hold just as true in football. More often than not, you get what you pay for. More Redskins news.